Hello again. On the previous video, we've seen that we were just checking that the axes were all moving in the right direction. And to be honest, for the conversion and all the machines we've tested, basically all these directions seem to be correct. But again, what we're going to do on this one here is we're going to assume that one of the axes is not moving in the right direction. In fact, what we've done is we've actually set it up so that the x-axis moves in the wrong direction. So what we'll do, as we normally do, we'll zero the Z. Now we're going to move the machine to the left, which is to the minus side of the x-axis. And you can see we are moving in a negative direction on the screen, on the DROs here. We can see we move thingy. But you can see instead of the axis moving to the left, it's moved over to the right. Now what we're going to do, as normal, what we're going to do here is we're going to keep the e-stop in our hands while we're doing testings. So this, anything moving untoward, we can actually just stop the machine virtually instantly. Okay, so now what we're going to do is we're going to go to Configuration, Homing and Limits. And here you can see a screen here, which is on what we're interested in, which is X, Y, and Z. Now, the first column here says reversed. And what we're going to do here is, because the x-axis is moving the wrong direction, it's a green tick, we're just going to click on it, and it's now going to be reversed in Mach3. So what we can do is we can just say OK. And now we're going to zero the axis again, just because it makes it easier to see. We move the left cursor key, which will say negative. And what we're going to do is it is now moving negative on the DRO here, and also the machine physically is moving over to the left hand side. Now in the previous video you can see the speed that we have set. We've still got it set very slow. We've got it set to 10. What we'll do is we'll just put that up to 20 just to make things move a little bit better. And again, this MPG mode can be taken just by pressing the tab key, and by pressing the tab key again, it just goes away. It's quite good for testing, etc. To be honest, what we tend to use is a wireless pendant for controlling the machine, but that's an optional extra that you can decide if that's of use to you. What we're going to do now is we're going to actually home the machine. Now we're going to, again, just to give you some idea of what was useful here, so we're going to go to Configuration, Homing and Limits. Now I'm going to move this over. I should have done that before. Hopefully you could see it. If not, I do apologize. So what we can see here is, let's make sure we can see it for definite. You can see what we're saying reversed. And what you can see is next is the limits, the soft limits. We'll describe that and do that on another video. But the other thing to do before we start to machine is, now we know the axes are all moving their direction, but also we want to make sure that the homing is working in the right direction, i.e. the homing is actually going towards the limit switches. And in this case, those limit switches are also the home switches, as we already know. Now, if you look at this column here, which is home N, which actually means home negative, means that we can reverse the direction on this homing and limits. This is very useful, this little this menu. So it can be, and we will go through quite a lot of this. Just one last thing here, you can see we've got speed here. Now this here is basically the speed that it'll be home, and it's a percentage. So in this one, it's 25% of the maximum speed of your machine. So you would need to adjust that so it doesn't go too quickly or too slowly. And you can just change that very quickly by just typing in 40 because you want it to go faster. or we'll just leave it at 25 in this particular case. Okay, so what we're going to do is we're going to drop out of this. Now what we have done is when we've homed the machine before, it's, you know, so on the test ones we've done, they all seem to home in the right direction, but you now know how to change it. We've got the e-stop in our hands just to make sure, and what we're going to do is we're going to do reference all home here. So what we're going to do is that now what will happen is it'll move the x-axis and the y-axis and the z-axis. Now the sequence it does does the z first. So what we'll do is we'll just drop the z down a bit so you can see it moving. And what we're going to do now is we're going to just do here, and what we should see in sequence. Now this homing routine goes in at 25%, and then it backs off and then goes in at 4%. So we have a consistent reading. So obviously the slower you're going in, the more consistent the repeatability of the homing is. Now it's gone up on the z-axis, it's dropped down and it's gone slow. It's now doing the x-axis, as you can see. It then powers itself into a safe position, moves along, does the Y, does a double probe home, and then resets itself back in there. Now these are, for convenience, we've just put it 100 mil and 100 mil. These could be moved anywhere on the table that you wanted. If you wanted us to change that, we could change that for you. Okay, thank you for watching, and I hope this has been useful again, and we will then start the next video very shortly. Thank you again.